Hi, good evening. My name is Vikhar Ahmed. I'm a journalist with Frontline magazine. I cover Karnataka, and I'm happy to be having this conversation with friends. So, I guess all of you must have made up your mind who you're going to vote for. So, hopefully, it's the same choice as mine. Um, and for the fence sitters, this discussion will be very valuable. For those of you who have made up your mind, perhaps you'll find things that you disagree with. Please ask us, ask them some very provocative, pertinent questions. So I just want to introduce a deeper introduction of the panelists. Pooja Prasanna of the News Minute is here. A lot of us know her. I am a little envious of Pooja because she has the ability to report across different genres of journalism. She does breaking news, she does long-form research-based pieces, she does investigative reportage, she does field broadcast reportage, studio reportage. So she's a very thorough, comprehensive, multifaceted journalist and is someone perhaps who I aim to be at some point.
I don't have a choice.
So Pooja, looking forward to your insightful comments based on your field reporting. Dr. A. Narayana is someone whom I haven't spent a lot of time with, but whose writings I follow very closely. He writes mainly in Kannada, although he is bilingual, he is very competent in English as well. And I sort of admire him as a scholar. And for me, a scholar is someone who's able to formulate an original thought, an original argument, an original idea. So I can't think of anyone who deeply knows Karnataka's politics and who's a scholar on this theme. So thank you, Dr. Narayana, for joining us. and our special guest, all our guests are special, but Rishikesh is special because he's come all the way from Belgavi just for this event amid a very hectic reporting schedule. Rishikesh is someone who I've known even before I became a journalist. He has a deep insider knowledge of Karnataka's politics, an amazing network of friends across political parties, activists, academics, scholars. And if he had chosen, he could have easily been the editor of a prominent newspaper based in Bangalore. But knowing the sort of person he is, he's chosen to be away in the Mufassils, He served for a long time in Bidar as the Hindus correspondent there. And over the past 5 years has been in Belagavi. 5 years, right, Rishikesh? Yeah. Thank you, Rishi, for joining us. And thank you all for joining us as well. I just want to set the context a little bit. All of you may be familiar with this, but just context setting helps as a preface to our discussion. So Karnataka elects 28 members to the Lok Sabha and is considered a crucial swing state in the forthcoming elections as the India alliance is hoping to make major gains here. But if history is any indicator, then the BJP has an advantage. What is this history that I'm talking about? In the past 4 parliamentary elections since 2004, the BJP has managed to win more seats than the Congress, substantially more seats than the Congress. In the elections of 2004, 9, 14 and 19, the BJP won 18, 19, 17 and 25 seats respectively, with its vote share rising in each election. In the 2019 election, the BJP, riding on a national wave that favoured the re-election of Prime Minister Modi, secured a staggering 51.4% of the vote share in Karnataka. The lone independent MP who was elected also subsequently extended a support to the BJP, which means that the party now has 26 seats in Karnataka. Considering they're in alliance with the Janata Dal Secular, they have 27 seats out of 28 heading to these elections, into these elections. While the electoral history of the past 2 decades favors the Saffron Party, as Karnataka gets ready to vote in 2 phases on April 26th and May 7th, the Indian National Congress is hoping to regain its past glory in Karnataka. The party, which won a thumping majority in the Legislative Assembly elections last year, is banking on 2 issues: its successful implementation of its 5 guarantees and the injustice done to the state in the devolution of funds from the union government. So, we'll discuss all these issues. We'll discuss whether Karnataka will follow the same pattern or will it witness a change and provide a boost to the India alliance. So, let me start with you, Professor Narayana. So have you, I'm sure you've dwelt on this, I know that you've dwelt on this substantially. Why has BJP been so successful in Karnataka, especially over the past 20 years, over the past 4 Lok Sabha elections, leading to this massive wave in 2019 where the party won 25 out of 28 seats? Linked to that, or if I pose the question another way also, is how has BJP managed to succeed in South India? How has the BJP managed to succeed in Karnataka, in South India, where it is an outlier? Sure.
Okay, yeah. So there are 2 parts to this question. Thanks, Sini.
Yeah.
So one, why BJP is doing better than the Congress in Karnataka in Lok Sabha elections. So the success there is confined only to the Lok Sabha elections.
Yes.
And why BJP has been able to grow in Karnataka but not in other southern states. Yeah. So these are 2 separate questions. So let me take up the first question. The first question is, from 1996 onwards, the BJP's vote share in Lok Sabha elections has been consistently increasing in Karnataka. The number of seats the BJP has got is more than the Congress seats from 2004 onwards, right?
Yes.
Now, this is something very interesting and very unique. Irrespective of the party in power, irrespective of the party which wins in assembly elections, BJP does better in Lok Sabha elections. So now, many people have offered different explanations to this. People say that in Karnataka, the voters are so discerning that they see assembly elections differently when compared to Lok Sabha elections, etc. So I have a very different hypothesis to offer here. To my mind, it is not so much because the voters see Lok Sabha elections and assembly elections differently. I think this is happening because in Karnataka, Lok Sabha elections and assembly elections are fought differently by parties. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Let us take the example of Congress. The Congress, after its post-1991 decline started at the national level, never fought the Lok Sabha elections seriously with a sense of purpose, with a sense of ownership, except in 1999. 1999 was the only election when the Congress fought well and it won 18 seats. So what has been happening? So this was happening in Karnataka during the heyday of the Congress as well. Congress was winning no matter which party was in power in Karnataka, in the state, right? In 84, Janata Party was in power, but Congress won. But that was an unusual election after Indira Gandhi's assassination. In 85, assembly elections were held. Janata Party came back to power. Even during an emergency, Karnataka gave almost all seats to the Congress, right? So when the Congress was strong at the national level, Karnataka was with the Congress, right? And during those days, no other party was fighting Lok Sabha elections seriously in Karnataka. After 1991, once the Congress decline began, Congress stopped fighting Lok Sabha elections seriously in Karnataka, except in 1999. So this is the reason why BJP has been consistently faring better in Lok Sabha elections when compared to the Congress. This is my hypothesis. The exception is 1996. In 1996, after the Congress decline began, in 1996, in Karnataka, Janata Dal was in power under Deve Gowda. And in that election, Janata Dal put up a very good fight, and it won 16 seats. So BJP was nowhere there. And then that is the election in which BJP started getting good vote share, and then it went on increasing. In 1998, BJP won more than the Congress number of seats that the Congress won. 1999, Congress came back because that was the only election in which it fought well. And after that, it has been BJP all the way. And the Congress never took Lok Sabha election seriously. Only in this election. In this election, the Congress has been fighting with the sense of purpose and the sense of ownership. Now, this ownership has been brought indirectly by fielding the kith and kin of ministers and MLAs. This may appear as continuation of dynasty or whatever, but then for the Congress, I think this is one of the good strategies that they have adopted. Having realized that this party in Karnataka has not been fighting Lok Sabha elections with a sense of ownership, this time they have fielded, they wanted to field ministers and MLAs, but they were not willing, except one or two. Party has fielded sons and daughters and sons-in-laws and daughters-in-law of ministers. And now the message is very clear. So this is, the challenge that you have to take up. Either win the seats, or you are, in a way, there is an indirect threat that you will not retain your ministership or whatever. This is the only election in which, after a long time, Congress is fighting this election with a sense of purpose. And has more than sense of purpose, more with a sense of ownership. Otherwise, in the Lok Sabha elections, the candidate is left to fend for himself or herself. The party will not invest, the local MLAs will not invest, and the state government will also not take it so seriously. So this is my hypothesis. So what is happening this time? This time, the advantage that the BJP remains the same. The supreme leader, okay, so the leader's image, right? 2019 was an exception because leader plus Pulwama. So this election should be compared more with the 2014 and not with the 2019. In 2019, they had the added advantage of Pulwama. This time they don't have. But the other advantage, big advantage that they have of the leader's image, that is intact. So the BJP remains where it was in 2014 in a way. We'll come to the alliance question later. For the Congress, this time situation is slightly better because of what you have mentioned already. One, the party is in power in the state with a good majority, a majority that has that after 1989. After 1989, they had they never had this kind of numbers in the state. Second, as you mentioned, they have an issue. A positive issue and a negative issue. Positive issue is in terms of their performance in delivering these 5 guarantees. Whether one likes it or not, it has caught the imagination of the people, at least of the poorer rounds. And then they have made this injustice to Karnataka, which is a substantive issue. They have been making politics out of it, but there is substance in that issue. So for the first time, they have an issue. And what I mentioned earlier, a sense of ownership. So these 3 are clear advantages for the Congress this time when compared to their situation in any of the past elections. So that's the difference that I see. So BJP stands where it was in 2014, and Congress has certain advantages. Whether these advantages would result in Congress winning more number of seats, I'll not be able to see. But even if it wins 1 seat more, it is a better performance than 2019. That's the situation in which the Congress is. Yeah. So now coming to the second part of it. So why BJP has been able to do better here, or BJP has been able to grow here, which has not been possible for it in other southern states. So Karnataka is, as all of you know, it is slightly a different, state insofar as its politics is concerned. Unlike other southern states, there is no local or regional party here, right? Now, in the absence of that, so what we had was centrist party in Janata Party and Janata Dal. Now, in 1999, after Janata Dal, erstwhile Janata Dal split into Janata Dal U and Janata Dal Yes, BJP's growth began here. So, by 2004, JDU, which had a major chunk of Lingayat leaders, almost got merged with the BJP, and that is the point from which BJP has seen only consistent growth. So now, the absence of a regional party and the decimation of a centrist party, which eventually the leadership of that party eventually went and joined the BJP, helped BJP grow here. So in the presence of a local party or a regional party with a very strong local sentiment, possibly it would have been difficult for the BJP to grow here as well. And mind you, in Karnataka, BJP has never won a simple majority so far, even in the assembly elections. So in the assembly, in 2008, it had only 110 instead of 113, which is required for a simple majority, and it engineered some defections and then came to power. And in 2019, again, it had only 103 seats, and then it managed again through Operation Kamala or whatever it is called. So on both occasions, when it formed government in Karnataka, it was a minority government, and it could come to power by engineering defection in opposition rank. So this is where the BJP stands.
Yeah.
So the Lok Sabha story is, the Lok Sabha success, therefore, is a function of the weakness of opposition rather than its own strength in Karnataka, I would say.
Okay, thank you for that, Narayana. I have two follow-up questions to that. First, this injustice, but I'll come back to you, but I'll just mention it so that you can respond when we come back. First is this injustice from the union government in terms of devolution of funds. It's a rather tricky thing to understand, right? You've been writing about this, discussing this extensively, so it will help when I come back to you to just discuss this. And second, where you mention the growth of the BJP, most people go back to 1989, Virendra Patil dismissal, and start the chronology from there about the rise of the BJP. It's interesting that you also link it up to the breakup of the JD. But what role has communalism played in the growth of the BJP? Or is it more like caste realignment that took place that led to the growth of BJP? So when we come back, if you can dwell a bit on these two questions. Rishi, coming to you. So as a journalist, going out, seeing the campaigns regarding these elections, the sense that I get is the Congress is very keenly focusing on the two issues, right? They've made it part of their campaign. First is the successful implementation of the 5 guarantees, which is tangible. And second, as Narayana mentioned, positive and negative, injustice. So they seem to have something when they go to the voters. The BJP, on the other hand, I'm just not getting a sense, right? What is their narrative? So then the fallback is Modi. They try to sporadically highlight communal issues, but it hasn't led to a groundswell for the party. I haven't seen that. I could be wrong. They've accused the Karnataka government of lawlessness in the state, bankruptcy because of the implementation of the guarantees. But again, this is rhetoric, not substantively backed by data. So again, they're banking on Modi. So this is my sense. I'd like it if you tell me what you thought about what these two formations are thinking heading to the elections.
Thank you, Vikar. When one participates in a discussion where Professor Narayana speaks, you feel like the other panelist feels like, ladies and gentlemen, the discussion is over, we can all go home. For all those who are fond of the Mahabharata, the unabridged Mahabharata, there is a section where Arjuna forgets the entire Bhagavad Gita and he requests Krishna, his driver in life, to repeat the Bhagavad Gita, and he repeats it in the first Bhagavad Gita was in the war field, the second one was in his AC tent just outside the there is a line, Vyasochishtam Jagat Sarvam, which means all the literature in the world is the spit of sage Vyasa. So all our political opinions are nothing in front of you. I don't know how much you are happy coming here listening to him, but I am more than happy to have squeezed 2 days out of my whole schedule and traveling 1,000 kilometers. Also because, of course, a little credit to Vikhar.
Thank you.
So I'll tell you an anecdote. I was asked to tell you anecdotes. Saturday was 4 days ago, is it? 4 days ago. Saturday we were traveling through, as you know, Bangaloreans should know, well-traveled. I had a senior called Mahadevappa. He used to say, a very well-traveled Bangalorean has traveled from Jayanagar to Rajachandgar. So I hope you are better traveled Bangalorean. So you know that Belgaum is one of the biggest districts, not just in Karnataka, in the country. For example, somebody in Athani, if he has to reach the district headquarters, he has to travel overnight. He cannot come the same day, take a certificate from the DC office and go. So we were traveling from Belgaum to Bijapur to Bagalkot, and let it be. So no prizes for guessing. I met a very interesting, colorful politicians from Gokak. He has been a minister in the past, and he was thrown out of his cabinet for a very colorful scam. So my car was going from this side, and he has stopped to talk to some of his supporters. I stopped him and said, "Sir, namaste." And then we went to a roadside shanty to have tea, and then asked him, "Hey, Naditha, sir, what's going on, etc., etc." And then he said something. Then he has a younger brother also in politics, and he supposedly have promised him that I will not speak to the media till the votes are counted. So, hey, something like that. He said, "Sir, we are not TV fellows, we are paper fellows." You are afraid of TV, I know. But we don't have any secret cameras also, or something like that. And then I said him, because you should know that his niece is fighting from the Congress in Chikodi, and his Betenoya is, her daughter is her son is fighting from Belgaum in a different party. So I asked him, "Sir, yeng nadita? Nim party?" He started, "Nam party na." Then I stopped him, "Sir, yav party?" And he was startled for a minute and, "Hey, yen keltile?" I said, "No, sir, I'm just asking for clarification because you are all getting old. So when you say Nam party in Chikodi, it's different from Nam party in Belgaum." So this is just to remind all of us that half of the BJP has people who are found in the garbages of other parties. So, jaise Professor Saab was saying, I was always fond of describing Karnataka as like this. North Karnataka is JDU Karnataka. South Karnataka is JDS Karnataka. So JDU became a BJP long time ago when their patron Ramakrishna Hegde died in 2004. JDS South Karnataka is becoming BJP now when the grand old man has been going around on beach campaigning for his great grandson or grandson?
Grandnephew, grandson,
I
yeah.
socha great.
Yeah. Grand son and grandson also, and son-in-law.
Yeah. So, we should never, as Kannadigas, first of all, we should never equate ourselves with the more educated, well-behaved, decent people called South Indians. We are not. We are hybridized like the Himalayas from South India and Maharashtra on top. And ask me, I am from Belgaum, I can tell you even better things about Maharashtra. Secondly, we should never forget this past of that grand party called Janata Parivar. Sometimes I feel it was better to be called as Sangh Parivar Janata. So that is the reason. Coming to his question, if you ask me, BJP has never had a good narrative since 2014. They only have a There's a local party, you might have heard of it, called Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti in Belgaum. Their agenda manifesto is only one line. Merging all Marathi speaking areas with Maharashtra. That's all. There is no second point in their agenda. So the BJP's agenda is only one word, Modi. They have never had any narrative. Great people who have come to help the 125-year-old organization and 70-year-old party like Prashant Kishore, my dear friend, they are only trying to give a different twist to the single word agenda. It's like all Hindi films after Sholay having the same story as Sholay with different heroes. So they have never had. And this election also they have never had. And if you ask me about Congress, how many MLAs? 136. 135. If you take the 5 out, because I am not very good in mathematics, I think 130 remains out of 1. If you go and ask 130 Congress legislators, our legislators, because Dr. Ambedkar said very famously that we cannot talk about the quality of the elected till we are sure of the quality of the elected. So before we blame them, we should blame ourselves, right? So those people, honorable people in white kurtas whom we have sent to Vidhan Sabha, those 130 people, if you ask them how much money the center owes to Karnataka, they will call up Krishna Bhairagowda and ask him. I am willing to take a bet. They would not. About guarantees they talk. Why do they talk? Because the women in villages tell them they will have forgotten. Their guarantee, do you know about legislators' pensions? There are 2 grand gentlemen in Karnataka, who are both my friends, who have been members of the Karnataka Assembly, Council, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay. Now that they have retired, they get 4 pensions. Long live, may the king live long. What is that statement? May the queen never die. May they never die. But when they die, their wives will get 4 family pensions. That is why my father always asked me, why do you get a job? Why didn't you stand for elections? We could have got 4 pensions. So their guarantees were fixed on the date they won. They are talking about guarantees because women in the villages are a new guarantee kotri. That is, there is something called guarantee. They don't know. If you ask any minister, except for some honorable exceptions, they would not know how many women have got Griha Lakshmi, how many women have travelled in Shakti, how many houses have got free power, and the last guarantee especially, because very few people have data on that, how many young people without jobs are getting incentives. Okay. So, elections in this country, unfortunately, are for a man in power a means to continue his power, and for a man who has lost power or who is aspiring for power to enter the ring. I am reminded of Kanchiram who said 4 बार election लड़ना पड़ता है, हारने के लिए, हराने के लिए, जीतने के लिए, जिताने के लिए. So this is how they look at it. They don't look at it as Sabs was saying, with a sense of purpose or to serve anybody. And they only want to serve themselves. And whether they go to their grave with the saffron flag or with the tricolor, that's all. Now, this communal, you see, I will be a fool if I say that such incidents were not occurring in the past. They have been
You're talking about the murder of
Neha Hirimad.
Yeah. So men have been killing women, sometimes their wives, only to get married second time, also killing her, then getting married third time. And coincidentally, they have belonged to some same caste, same religion, sometimes different caste, different religion. I am one of the reporters who attended a very high-profile murder case by a Hindu Swamiji who has poisoned and killed his Muslim wife, who happened to be the granddaughter of the former advisor to the Mysore kings. So, for hundreds of years, it has been happening. But very few people knew that we could take political advantage of it, and these people are very good in doing it. It happened on 18th. So, second phase of voting, that is in North Karnataka, 12 seats, is it? 11?
No, May 7th.
Yeah, May 7th. Yes, how many?
14.
14 seats. So these 14 seats, how many days more? Another 3 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So whether the tempo they'll be able to maintain till then, it is very easy compared to earlier days when there was no WhatsApp University. Nowadays, if you open, for example, I was asking a senior friend of mine today morning that just as the people have got bored of newspapers, will the honorable people of this country one day get bored of YouTube? And that day maybe we can fight on the street and say that somebody is fighting a fair deal and somebody is not. But if you ask me whether the Hubli incident will affect only the neighboring constituencies or the whole of Karnataka or the whole of the country, because the Prime Minister also has referred to it. That remains to be seen. Usually we are all human beings. Our sensitivities and emotions are very regional. When somebody dies in an earthquake in your own hometown, you feel bad compared to somebody dying in Egypt or Sudan, isn't it? So that is. Secondly, the tempo, and now that the issue has been slightly diluted because people have come to know what is the relationship between that boy and girl, and the boy's parents have gone to the girl's house asking for her hand, and the girl had transferred 8 lakh rupees to his account for him to get military training, etc. All those stories are coming out, and the father has also said that he is happy with the inquiry. So whether a party's proactive efforts to make us very angry at what I would call just another criminal incident, or whether by nature we are all very sympathetic and empathetic and we feel very bad for a girl who got killed, etc. If you can draw parallels to Nirbhaya case, and whether the whole country galvanizes into voting for somebody or not voting for somebody, and whether we will be able to connect this incident with a party, that what I am saying, this is not as easy as it was in 2014 or 19. Okay. And whenever somebody says, because I have seen this while interacting with people and leaders, when they say Modi factor, so I try to ask them, could you give the same answer in 100 words? I remember writing exams as a high school student. We are supposed to give answers to the same question in 100 words and 300 words. So all those people who come up with 2-word answers like Modi factor, they won't be able to give a 200-word answer as to what is the Modi factor. However, the BJP gets benefits out of the Congress failure to create a narrative that is appreciated by the people. For example, in the case of drought relief, yesterday Supreme Court, central government went to the Supreme Court and said that now we will release money to Karnataka. If I was the Congress leader, I would have made a huge issue out of it and said, these are the people who said there is no dues. Now they are agreeing before the Supreme Court. Congress does not do that. Don't mind me saying this, but I used to tease my friends in Congress and BJP saying, Congress is like a very lazy boy who studies one day before examinations. But BJP is the girl who starts studying from the first day of her admissions. So when it comes to campaigning, and as you rightly said, they have never taken it seriously. And there is a very interesting reason why Congress or any other party, except the BJP maybe, they don't take parliament elections seriously because they don't dream of becoming the chief minister of Karnataka. In an assembly election, an MLA can become a chief minister, and if you ask them what you want to do after becoming chief minister, they won't know. The very famous shairi by Udayan Pandit. Jume ko shadi hua, Friday you got married, but what happened on Monday? They would not know. If you ask them, hi, sir, if you become chief minister, what will you do? They will say, I will go sit on my chair and appoint my brother-in-law as my advisor, something like that. They would not know further. But in Lok Sabha elections, nobody is hoping to be Prime Minister and or become Central Minister, so they don't take it seriously. The BJP, since at least 2014, has been focusing. Now our people are learning, other people are learning that this is also It's like the term examination. They only focus on the final examination. Now they are trying to learn. This is maybe a longer answer. But
No, thank you. As always, it's a privilege to listen to Rishikesh. Rishi, one follow-up question. So, what is the Modi factor according to you? I'll come back to you if you can think about this. Is it only restricted to his message that he conveyed very clearly in Rajasthan, the dog whistle that he gave to all his followers? All of us know what the Prime Minister said. So if you can just think, okay, is this all there is to the Modi factor? Pooja, I should apologize to you. Even last year I remember I'd invited you and you followed again a very scintillating commentator like Shiv Sundar, who's one of Karnataka's foremost public intellectuals. And now it's up to you, but you matched whatever he had to say. So again, following Narayana and Rishikesh, I come to you. So you've been traveling in South Karnataka. So I have a two-part question. First is, what were the exigencies that led JDS to ally with the BJP? Because it seems like a suicidal move. They are going to lose their identity till the next assembly elections that we have in Karnataka. And second, how is the alliance faring on the ground?
Is this on? Yeah. Okay. No, I actually don't mind following the two of them. I must say these are two people I call for quotes and to kind of get a sense of understanding. So yeah, it kind of lays the ground for the conversation very well. On the topic of BJP and JDS, at the moment it looks like the alliance is doing very, very well. And we all tend to think that perhaps Congress and JDS are better allies because they're both secular parties, secular. And the leaders, they've worked with each other in the past. But I spoke to somebody and he had a very interesting take. He said, if you look at it more closely, a BJP and a JDS, they can form a better alliance. They're more natural allies. Because what is secularism at the end of the day, right? Essentially, it takes BJP to tell, or they perhaps don't even have to tell Deve Gowda and Kumaraswamy to not take up certain issues. That's all it takes. Don't speak against Ram Mandir. Don't do this. But if you look at their target audience, their target voter base, they bring new things to the table. They're not fighting for the same set of voters, which was the problem with JDS and Congress, right? They're both fighting for minorities. In the old Mysuru region, they have traditionally fought each other for decades. So even for the sake of the party leadership, if Siddaramaiah agrees to come and sit next to a Deve Gowda, pretend to smile very, put on a fake plaster, a fake smile, the fact of the matter is your party worker, the cadre on the ground, cannot accept working alongside a guy who you've abused, you've beaten up and fought all your life, right? Which is not the case in this alliance. So I think they're doing exceptionally well.
Before you continue, I'd like to interrupt you. I would disagree with you. H.D. Deve Gowda has opposed the BJP for most of his career at different points. We know that. So
I agree with you. No, I'm not disagreeing to that.
And again, this point that you made about this natural alliance.
Yeah.
Again, perhaps Rishi or Narayana can also weigh in. So the way I've understood Karnataka's political history is of this antagonism, this traditional antagonism that exists between Vokkaligas and Lingayats, and one framework through which we can see the trajectory of Karnataka politics is within this rivalry. So if you could incorporate that.
It's a good point. I will address that. The first part about Deve Gowda's statements. Now, we'd be foolish to take it at face value and hold him to it, right? Because you go today, interview him, ask him, he will flip in 1 second, right? Anybody who's known Deve Gowda for 5 minutes, comes to understand this. Let's take a step back. For 30 odd years of his career, Deve Gowda's entire focus was anti-Congress, right? He fought against Indira Gandhi, emergency, right? He fought for space for his party against the Congress when BJP didn't even exist. So in that sense, if he can ally with the Congress to safeguard his party, allying with the BJP is much easier for them in that sense. Also look at the party leadership in the state, right? except Yediyurappa, there is nobody to challenge his son Kumaraswamy. Yediyurappa has said, I'll pick my battles.
Within the alliance, you mean?
Within the alliance, right? Which was not the case when they were in alliance with Congress. Siddaramaiah did not allow that to go, and it wasn't just him. There were so many leaders who had jumped parties and come on the other side, and they were not, they couldn't pretend to work with the JDS any longer. But BJP is a very different party. When you get instructions from the top, they have to abide by that. They do not have a choice, especially in a Lok Sabha election, right? It's a matter of survival for the leader. Which is why I said, on paper, a Congress and a JDS looks like a better alliance. But in practical terms, BJP and JDS are working much better with each other. And I want to just tell you what I saw in Mandya. This was a few months ago. I'm not sure how many of you followed this incident. There was a row over a saffron flag being hoisted on a 108 feet pole in Mandya, and JDS and BJP made this a big issue. And for the first time, we saw Kumaraswamy let go of his green JDS flag, and he donned a saffron scarf, and he stood with the BJP leaders and protested in Mandya. I went there a couple of days later once the dust started settling down, and I spoke to the Gram Panchayat leaders. Now, it was a small village incident, a very local issue. But for about 2 weeks, right, this was making headlines in all the Kannada channels. And what it did tell me is when I spoke to locals, the villagers, and even the Gram Panchayat leaders, JDS members particularly, what I realized is just because the old Mysuru region where JDS has been strong did not vote for BJP in large numbers does not mean they were secular.
Sorry, say that again.
Just because the old Mysuru region kept BJP at bay for as many years does not mean the region is secular. The reasons, yeah. So it wasn't at all anything to do with secularism, right? For those who are familiar with the area, you know that people are very religious there. It's just that BJP didn't have a certain appeal, and the loyalties were split between either a Congress candidate or a JDS candidate. And the caste factor was more dominant than the religion factor up until now. But when I spoke to people there, I saw all the JDS leaders echoing the same words as Hindu groups, Hindutva groups. And that surprised me. And I asked them, are you comfortable? Because you are a part of a secular party. And they said, it's our religion that is being attacked. So we will fight back. And there's nothing wrong. And they took cue from Kumaraswamy, who stood there and said the same things that you'd hear from a Yatnal or a Anant Kumar Hegde or a Katil or any of the BJP leaders. So I feel that it is easier for JDS to mold itself to be an ally with the BJP than with the Congress. Also, we don't know what Congress's real ideology is, right, at the end of the day. So that's why I think the partnership is working beautifully. Also, from what I understand, the least that JDS expects is for the family to win all their seats. And by that, I mean 3+1, 3 JDS and also the son-in-law who's fighting in Bangalore rural. That seems difficult. But that said, that is all they care about at the moment. What forced their hand? I'd say again, protection. At the time, in fact, I'd written about how for Kumaraswamy and Deve Gowda, the need of the hour was to keep the party from bleeding because the Congress won with an overwhelming majority. And we saw JDS leaders on the ground as well joining the Congress in large numbers. So the BJP could offer them the protection to make sure the party doesn't bleed out. So they just wanted to save the party for the moment.
Okay.
Right?
So they're not looking at it from a longer,
They never have,
even
right?
a few years.
They never have. Last point, when I asked somebody in JDS, aren't you worried that BJP will eat you up like they tried to do, Maharashtra, Shiv Sena, or what they tried to do with the AIDMK, and last minute they kind of pulled out. Aren't you worried about that? They say that's a problem for tomorrow, number one. And two, they say, how the split happens is also going to determine who'll eat up whom.
How the split?
Yeah, like as in how they kind of part ways. Will
the BJP and the JDS.
BJP and the JDS.
Okay.
I,
So they're already foreseeing
yes,
a
I mean,
split.
nobody thinks this will kind of go on forever, and nobody thinks this will end well, right? But for example, this person I spoke to said, what if Deve Gowda, sensing that the BJP is planning a coup perhaps, then says that I am fighting with Modi for Kaveri or some other local issue, and because he's unwilling to, and because of injustice to Kannadigas, I'm walking away from the alliance, and he walks out. Then the party is safe. In fact, they could grow in strength. And a few Vokkaliga leaders from BJP could very well join JDS. This is what their thinking is. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm just telling you what their thinking at this point is.
Okay. The question that I'm thinking of, will the Vokkaligas accept the overwhelming role of the Lingayats, because they are the junior partner. Have you thought about it? Have you asked anyone about this?
Yes, absolutely. Also, I'm sure Rishi sir will have better insights on this. It has now come to a place where there are clear demarcations, right? So Vokkaligas and Lingayats operate in very different regions. There is very less room for overlap. The BJP's hope is that at least for this election, you can consolidate them as Hindus, right? Dominant caste Hindus under the larger banner of Modi, because Modi is acceptable to Vokkaligas. They don't have any issue with his brand, right? And then how they will work together going forward is again something they can work out. But they've not internally had any issues so far.
No, if they succeed, it harks back to a pre-Devrajars kind of coalition where the dominant castes were unbeatable, then rallying behind the Congress with both the Lingayats and the Vokkaligas. Anyway, coming back to you, Narayana, about this injustice. If you can very briefly, we don't have too much time, explain what is this injustice?
Okay, so before that, can I just add one point to what Pooja said? So, a partnership between the Congress and JDS may be better for the state, but a partnership between the BJP and JDS will be better for the partners in Karnataka. This is because BJP and JDS were not fighting each other in southern Karnataka. So they will add up to each other, right? So that's the strategy. But any analysis of how this will play out in terms of results, we have to keep the entire northern Karnataka out of the analysis. Because in northern Karnataka, JDS has no presence. Yeah. So BJP is not going to derive great advantage in northern Karnataka because of this alliance. In southern Karnataka, there are certain constituencies where JDS has no presence at all. Bangalore, Uttara Kannada, Udupi. So, right? So in a few constituencies, this will work out. It's a better coalition in terms of their respective politics. But then the actual benefit in terms of the number of seats is something I'm not very sure about. But the idea behind this partnership is that BJP wanted to spread its ideology in Old Mysore, and there I think it is a better deal. It is a win-win deal for the BJP rather than for the JDS. JDS, I don't know what is their idea of the future. After Deve Gowda, after Kumaraswamy, we do not know what is going to happen to that party because, anyway. So it was at one point in time, it was a centrist alternative in Karnataka. Then it became a regional party. Then it became a caste-based party. And then it became a caste party. Yeah. Then it became a family party. Yeah. When it became a family party, the Vokkaligas themselves started deserting it. Let us accept it. They might not be great secular voters, but at least they realized that, okay, this is not the party to support. This has happened in 2018. It has happened in 2019. It has happened in 2023 also. Right? So, to that extent, I consider Vokkaliga voters as more mature than maybe others. Anyway, now coming to...
I'm sorry, if I could also ask him a question. So, in terms of the arithmetic, JDS thinks that they can help BJP, and BJP agrees. In about 10 to 15 seats, JDS has enough presence to help BJP.
Okay.
Is that something you
I don't know whether
think?
it will be 10. To me, it is 4 or 5. Yeah, maybe. I'm not too sure. Yeah. Now, with regard to this whole question of one injustice and Karnataka being cheated, okay, the word is droha, not loss, okay, cheated, of 1,86,000 crore rupees. I think I have to be a bit careful here to talk about it, especially in the audience. I see a former commercial tax commissioner. So, but let us take certain issues here. In the first report of the 15th Finance Commission, okay, there was a recommendation that Karnataka shall get 5,000 crore odd as a special, sort of grant, compensation grant, right? It was there, you can't deny that, and it has not been paid. Okay. Similarly, in the final report, there was a project grant of 3,000 crore each, one for peripheral ring road of Bangalore and another for improvement of lakes in Bangalore. No, you can't deny that, it's there on black and white. And on the question of drought relief, right? And the Home Minister says they submitted the application 3 months later. The fact remains, there are, it's there in black and white, that Karnataka was the first state to submit the application before the end of the deadline.
This was in September last year.
Yeah. So October 31st was the deadline or something. So well in advance. And the leader of the opposition here, of the BJP, says that they should have submitted it in July or June. You can't submit a drought relief application before the monsoon starts. So it's absurd, right? So, and then the finance minister comes and says, no, there are procedural issues for us to follow. Now, 3 people cannot give 3 different reasons if there is a valid reason. Okay. So, it is very obvious that there were several things for the union government to hide. Now, let us unpack this issue of communalism. What is it? Now, this is people buying a certain kind of narrative that the BJP has been advancing, right? I'm not going to critique it. I'm just presenting it as it is, right? What are they saying? They are saying that, look here, Congress is an anti-Hindu party. Okay. Did people buy it initially? I don't know. But now there are more number of people in Karnataka who are buying it. Okay. Second, they are saying that, look here, Congress is pro-Muslim. Okay. So they would go to any extent to appease Muslims in order to get their votes. Earlier, people were not buying it. Now more number of people are buying it. Okay. And they are saying that Hindus are in danger. Eventually, Muslim population will take over Hindu population, all these things. Even now, if you are, I'm part of some of the groups of BJP workers, because it helps us to get, what's going on there, right? I can send you the link. Yeah. So, the kind of messages that are coming there are highly entertaining, if nothing else, right? Highly entertaining. So, I don't know, so this is again, it comes back to education. It challenges anybody's intelligence to believe in some of them, but people believe in it. But there are more number of people now ready to believe in this kind of whatever they are putting out, right, than before. So if this is communalization of Karnataka, yes, it is happening. It used to happen only in coastal Karnataka, the most educated, highly educated part of Karnataka. Now it is slowly spreading to less educated part of Karnataka as well. So again, it speaks immensely of the kind of education that we have, possibly. Yeah. So that we cannot deny. Now, the point that BJP had its vote share intact even when it lost 2013. It's
2023.
2023. So the seats came down to 66, whereas the share of votes remained almost intact. Right?
Yes.
And what does it show? So yes, it is happening. Now I may slightly disagree with my friend Rishikesh. I consider an average politician highly intelligent. Okay, and an average Congress MLA or politician is more intelligent. Okay, so this is my hypothesis. You can test it. You don't have to take my word. And because of the, if he is passing the exam, reading in the previous night and not studying for the entire, he is more intelligent. And that's that. So anyway, now the Congress MLAs are very good in saying what they have done. Okay, at least some of them. But where they are very defensive, where they remain speechless is on these 3-4 points that I made earlier. Congress is an anti-Hindu party. They themselves believe that, yeah, maybe we are anti-Hindu. So this is the problem. So they don't know what their ideology. They will say the constitution, but they don't know what the constitution stands for, etc., etc. So this is the problem with the Congress, and on this, the Congress is always on a weaker wicket. And as a party, the party leadership, and an average party politician, all the three segments within the party are found wanting in defending the party against this kind of onslaught by the BJP. So whatever they say sells, because there is nothing to counter that kind of a narrative. So that's the communalism story in Karnataka.
Thank you, Narayana. Yes.
Just add the role of media as well, right? Because he was talking about the dues to Karnataka. And there was a debate that Krishna Baire Gowda had challenged Nirmala Sitharaman to attend. And of course, she didn't attend. But she held a press conference a day before?
No, same day.
Same day in the
Almost
morning,
parallelly.
right? Yeah.
Parallelly. He was holding this session, and there he was making a PowerPoint presentation, step by step, how injustice has been done. And she's addressing a press conference elsewhere. And somebody asked her, why are you not going there? She says, oh.
No, she just made a face, that's all. But look at how media played up. She did admit there that the union government has not given the drought relief. But the media said, okay, she's answered, what is the big deal, right? So,
Rishi, before I throw it open to the audience for questions, just what is this Modi factor? Just give me a brief answer. I'm sure there are a lot of questions from the audience.
We have had a very entertaining evening and a very enlightening. Since when Saab has joined Azim Premji University, I pray to God every day that I lose my age and become his student. Go and sit in his class.
No, please. Answer the question.
And Pooja has given some very insightful remarks. If I give you an answer to this, it will be very pessimistic, discouraging, and everybody will go home and have a pill further.
No, but you're known for your candor, so.
After this clarification also, if you want me an answer, I'll give you an answer.
No, go for it, yeah.
That is because some of you are the age of my father, some of you are old to be my elder brothers and sisters. But we as Indians, we are not democratic. We want a very strong superhero, autocratic dictator to rule us. And that is what we are seeing in this. Sometimes I am reminded of that Mukesh fellow who used to play Indian Superman in TVs whenever I see Prime Minister Modi. So, Chatur, his name was Chatur. So, we have, you ask anybody, with Dr. Saab was talking about education, anybody with a postgraduate degree, after 10 minutes he says, are we fit to be ruled by democracy? We need a good dictator. Everybody says this. In every, at least in my family, we have weddings for 2 days. I usually skip the one day before that grand meal because you get, especially when people know that you are a journalist, people try to talk to you, one about politics, another thing which is very extremely popular is the reservation. So I want to skip both. We don't know. A lot of people in this country, as he said, not just leaders, we don't know what is in the constitution. We don't know what is the meaning of fundamental right. We don't know what is federalism. We don't know what is decentralization. We only want a Mako male who takes up a danda and beats you for every mistake you do. There are some people, you can see them during traffic signals, they will be standing and they are so angry with some young man crossing their way that they want him to be killed. People say that, isn't it? So we are not a democratic country, and in 75 years we have learned learnt the basics of democracy. We have been wishing since 1942 for a larger than life Superman who can come and kick. Save us and kick the wrongdoers. Unfortunately, sometimes the wrongdoers end up to be minorities who will be preparing your tire puncture and all that. Poor fellow. He gets a interesting phone call and phone pay from some ISIS member and he gets arrested by NIA tomorrow morning. So we have no clear idea. Before 2014, had you ever seen any discussion in any middle class house about who will be the next Prime Minister? You would also always talk about who would be our next MLA or corporator or MP. So this American system of people directly voting, do you remember L.K. Advani used to go around making these speeches that we should directly elect our president like America, etc. This is a very complicated country. One man cannot understand its problems, forget about solving them. So, this Prashant Kishore fellow, sometimes he feels to me like those people who help you when you are bungi jumping. They ride on your back and tie both your legs to the same rope and jump. You may break your head, but he will not break his head. So he is like that. So he has taught all these big people, not just one party, every party. हम तो बिकने के लिए तैयार. Do you remember that ghazal? हम तो बिकने के लिए तैयार हैं. कौन है बड़ा साहूकार? Something like that. So he has given them the language, grammar, imagery, and videos, beautifully crafted videos about how one man can say it. This is philosophical answer. What is the practical answer? Modi factor is your when you are young and you try to write a mathematics examination and you only know the answer to one formula, a plus b whole square, and you write that answer to every question, hoping that at least you will get one answer right. So all these candidates, somebody like Jagdish Shettar, who has been a former chief minister, former revenue minister, former home minister, and I know him very well. He is a very polite guy, very decent fellow. He may be lazy, lethargic, that's a different matter. Even now he is talking about, you are the chief minister of this state. What did you do? He does not remember. So Modi factor is the answer a politician gives when he does not know what to answer. So that is Modi factor. And for the people, it has caught their imagination. Kittur, we were traveling near Kittur and this was just one day after the Hubli incident. And we caught hold of one fellow who was a very close follower of former minister, former MLA, D.B. Namdar. This is a trivia to take home, for you to take home. D.B. Namdar was one of the biggest landlords of Karnataka. His family was granted 12,000 hectares of land by the British for something that led to the capture of Sangolli Rayana. So he was MLA for 25 years or so. He died. And then his nephew is the next MLA. He was a very loyal follower of Inamdar. He is also called Saukar. Everybody in Belgaum is called Saukar. So what will he do this time? I asked him, Saukar, which Saukar? Because every taluk has a different Saukar. If you remember all these street dogs, they have their lanes. First cross dog will not go to the second cross. So these Saukars are limited to their taluks. And I am standing at the intersection of Belgaum and Kittur, so I have to be clear. So, Yav Saukar. Then he said, till yesterday I was a Congress supporter, but do you know what happened in Hubli? You are a pressman, you should know, no? What happened in Hubli? Jagdish Shettar has come to Congress. I said, no, sir, some girl was killed, etc. He said he has changed his mind. Then I said, that is all right. I asked him, do you think the boy killed the girl because he could not handle rejection, or do you think it was because she was a Hindu? He said, because she is a Hindu, etc. Then he said, no, this party is only focusing on two people, minorities and SC/STs. Then I said, is every woman going free on KSRTC basis, or only Muslim and SC/ST women are going? He said, sir. Then I said, is every house getting free electricity, or only Muslims and SC/ST fellows are getting free electricity? For that, people give credit to Bangarappa, he said. Then I said, which party did Bangarappa belong to? So no counter question, no supplementary question is answered. So I was expecting him to come to Modi factor in 3 minutes. He took some long time because he was a migrant from Congress. At the 13th minute, he said Modi. Then I said, Arey, if you had given this answer 3 minutes, I would have gone by now. I have so many villages to cover. So this is not a joke. Even if you ask a very serious BJP supporter, and a lot of them are my good friends, not just supporters, leaders, MLAs, MLCs. There is one MLC who wrote Lok Sabha will be more informed about this. A point-wise, para-wise remark or answer for the discussion on NEP, which was held in the winter session in Belgaum. And that fellow, my dear friend, he had failed his SLC but became a teacher's constituency MLC. He was representing all the failed students. So he had written some points about NEP. Then I asked him, sir, there are two interesting points in NEP. One is by 2035, all higher education institutions in the country will be reduced by 75%. Now there are around 50,000, so they will be reduced by 3/4, which means only 1/4 of the higher education institutions will remain in this country because they want to focus on quality. In a country where the population grows by 1 Australia every year, do you increase the number of higher education institutions or do you decrease? Okay, this is one question. Nobody has given me an answer. Second question is by 2035, all examinations will be college examinations. Universities shall not be affiliating agencies and no college will pay any affiliating fees to any university. Okay. Now, my dear friend Prabhakar Kore will give 100% marks to all his students by 2035 if he is still there around. And no university will survive in this country. Maybe VTU and RGHS because they have a lot of money already collected. Can you imagine the status of something called Karnataka Folklore University or Gangubai Hangal Performing Arts University? How will they survive? I asked this question. He said, "Idu yav page alli ide? Where is this in the NEP?" Then I had written it down. I knew the page number also. I told him. Then he said, "Ayo, Modi or nodkoltar bidi." So I had this grandmother, my illiterate grandmother, she would give medicine to people who had snake bites. So as you know, 90% of snakes are not poisonous snakes. So 90% of her patients would be cured and 10% would die. And whenever somebody died, she said, "Devaru nodkoltanu bidi." So this is very similar to, you know the problem, you don't know the answer, you say, "Namo Namo Jai Karnataka." That is the answer.
Thank you, Rishi.
Can I quickly ask?
Yeah. Pooja, you want to
I'll
add
tell
something?
you what the Modi factor is. It's turning us into a country of unquestioning zombies. 2 days ago, he made a speech where he dehumanized Muslims and also made a bunch of false statements. It takes you exactly 5 minutes of Google search to know that one, Manmohan Singh did not say what the BJP, Modi is claiming he said. To the Congress manifesto does not say what he's saying. And he's taken bits and parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech. It takes you 5 minutes to also figure out that the fertility rate, both for Muslims and Hindus, has been coming down, right? But not a single journalist, forget people, will Google it. They'll just say, "Wah, Modi ji, wah." That is the Modi factor.
The rate of Muslims is falling
Faster than Hindus. But we've become, whatever he says, BJP says yes, media says yes, people say yes. That's the Modi factor. Just accept everything that comes our way.
Hindus like me are very jealous of people who can marry 4 times and I am stuck with the same wife for 20 years.
I'm sure she feels just as bad.
Time for questions. Sadhna here. Where's the mic, please?
Thank you for that insightful and humorous session. My question is to any of you all. it centers around the youth. I know a very interesting point you mentioned that there is no region. Karnataka is different because we don't have a regional party. So regarding the youth from the ground or from the university, are they inheritors of the thought process that is in the state? Is it legacy? Or do you see some kind of new voice, some paradigm shift in the thought process?
Who wants to answer?
Okay, so now this category of youth, it is not monolithic, it is not uniform, right? So so there are youth from among the farmers, youth from among the middle class. So there was an interesting survey conducted by one of the agencies here. So they wanted to find out in which segment of population this anti-Muslim among the Hindus is highest. Fortunately, it is lowest among the youth, right? So they are not as anti-Muslim in their outlook as, let us say, those in the age group of 35 and 45, 45 and above, etc. Now that's a good sign. That may be because they are not even reading on WhatsApp messages. That's also so that's also a factor. But I think another thing that BJP has been systematically trying to reach them, right? But the other side has not been making that effort to reach the youth. That's also there. So what they inherit, they don't inherit anything in terms of thoughts, right? So they will have their own way of finding out things. But I think from the supply side, there's a problem. BJP is scoring over even there, and that has to be matched by somehow. And they have not just texts, they have imageries. They have symbols. For example, this angry Ram symbol or angry Hanuman symbol, etc., etc. So this was one of the things that we discussed 2 weeks ago on this platform. So what is your symbol? What is that you want to put up behind your car? Everyone will watch it. What is that? They don't have. The other side doesn't have this kind of imageries which can reach this segment. So now people say that the preamble of the Constitution, some people are promoting, but very, very minor effort here and there.
Yeah, Venkat there has a question.
One of the things we saw is that the Congress is playing on this 400 seats would mean the constitution will change. And we saw Anand Hegde being removed at some point. Is that card playing? I did not expect that kind of thing to work across every section of India. Is that working? And that's surprising to me in some sense. What is your views?
So who has a sense of ownership with the Constitution? Only SC/STs. That's the genius, of Gandhi and genius of Ambedkar, right? So Gandhi ensured that Ambedkar became the part of the Constituent Assembly, and because Ambedkar championed this document, so his name is associated with the Constitution. There is a sense of ownership in this country of the Constitution. Now only that segment is going to be deeply feeling in case this is true. But then I think this message, they are the last people to get this message, right? Because this is circulating only among certain groups of people, and I think there is in a way I think it has begun to make some impact. That's the reason the other day the Supreme Leader said that we are not going to touch it. Even if Baba Saheb comes back, he will not be able to change it, right? So therefore, it is beginning to make an impact, but I think that is not something which will make BJP spend sleepless nights.
Yeah. If my dear friend Anant Kumar Hegde's statement made him lose his seat, I am very happy, if nothing else happened. One. Secondly, I always say that for the middle class Indian, significantly favorably educated Indian, Constitution of India has only 3 pages. One is the preamble he was forced to learn during primary school. Second page is secularism, third page is reservation. So no other Indian likes the Constitution.
Yeah, so there is a lot of, this is not coming out very openly in the public. But it is not just the right-wing segments who are opposed to the constitution. Even others who are, who are either fence-sitters or neutral players, they also have some deep anti-constitution feeling which is not coming out in the open on this question. One is secularism, another is reservation. Totally, wrong conceptions about the reservation. And what is the third thing you said? Preamble. Yeah, no, yeah. Preamble. Everybody, of course, displays. But then these two things, secularism and reservation, as it it has done great damage to upper caste and non-SC STs. So this feeling is there, and very little effort to correct it. And this simple fact that reservation in this country is not an anti-poverty program, right? It is not an anti-poverty program. This simple message in 75 years, we have not been able to get across to the masses, to the middle class. Everybody thinks that in my community also there are poor people. Well, in your community, in your community, if there are poor people, there is green card. Okay, below poverty line card. Green card is not a US green card. I'm not referring. I am referring to the green card given to the poor in this country. BPL card. BPL card is given to every caste, irrespective of which caste he belongs to or she belongs to, right? So people think that reservation is an anti-poverty scheme, which is given to only certain segments when there are poor people. Every segment, right? So this kind of minor things Congress has not been able to correct in the last 75 years. Forget about the ideology.
I have a magic duct tape I always carry it in my pocket to shut the mouth of people who speak against reservation. I said, I will sit and listen to your tirade against reservation if you have condemned donation at least 10 times more in your life. You have been condemning reservation every day of your life. At least 10 times if you have condemned donation, then I will listen to you. Then they shut up and then I go my way.
Next question. Yeah, I think he raised his hand first, behind.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everybody. And it was very enriching to listen to all of you. I think at some point I've listened very well to all three of you, so it was great listening to you again. So my question was about the coalition between JDS and BJP that you guys were discussing, right? So, you went very extensively into what the top-down, the leadership, what the discussions, and what the internal thought process within both the parties were. But, what do you think is, do you also think that there's a bottom-up, sentiment among the Vocaliga community itself, and how that has changed over the last, 5-10 years? Because I think among all the dominant castes, as you were mentioning, some of the communities, we already knew that where most of their loyalties lied. But do you think the sentiment of the community as such that the JDS relies upon, that changing made it almost inevitable for this alliance to happen? And one more angle to this, of course, is also the matas and the role that matas play, right? Do you think the evolving relationship between the Adi Chunchanagiri Math and the BJP, and we also know how Yogi Adityanath and the Nathapanta connection that they make between Adi Chunchanagiri Math and Yogi Adityanath, so that evolving relationship between the main mata of the Vocaligas and BJP, that also might have played a role in that. So that was my question.
I think, yeah. That's okay. I think the first part of the question you dealt with.
Yeah, I think the Mata part, I agree. Vocaligas are perhaps the most organized, even more so currently than Lingayats, most organized caste in Karnataka. So getting a message across becomes easier because you have a Vocaliga Sangha, which is also very, they have regular meetings, regular elections, and then they have these matas. So if, for example, if you want them to turn in a certain way towards certain things, it's easier because you can use these two instruments to change their mind. Why I say that is the Vocaliga Sangha also runs many educational institutions. So, putting that message across becomes that much more easier, is my short answer.
Yeah, so the Vocaligas have not consistently backed the JDS, right? They have kept changing their allegiance between the Congress and JDS. That's one. The moment this alliance happened, all Vocaligas will walk into the BJP or this coalition fold. It's a we have to think about it. So let us wait what happens, and what happens in this election, what happens in the next elections, etc. Because I think, the Mandya belt, I agree with the Pooja that these people are not voting for the BJP because they are secular. And that's a different reason. There's a different reason why they have not been voting for the BJP, because major Vokkaliga leaders were not part of the BJP, and caste always figured in their calculation, etc., etc. But the mutt issue, I think empirically we don't have any evidence to suggest mutts have a role in the political decisions, electoral decisions of their caste followers, their followers. We don't have any evidence of that sort. In that case, by now, things would have been much different. Okay. So even Adchinchanagiri mutt, of course, they respect, everything is fine. But whether the mutt has a role in influencing the decision of an average Vokkaliga voter, I'm not too sure. What do you think, Pooja?
I think more than Matha, the Sangha, because of the, for example, the educational institutions, the other organizations they run, there is a network for them to spread. Doesn't mean that they do spread it.
Yeah.
Whereas OBCs or Dalits cannot be disorganized. That is my point.
Yeah.
That
And another thing about Vokkaligas is that, so the resistance to the BJP's kind of politics is also very strong there, because of the influence of Kuvempu, because of the pride that they take as farmers, the pride that they take as meat eaters, right? All these things fly in the face of what BJP stands for.
Whenever I
There's a question.
just give you an answer. Whenever I think of Kumaraswamy trying to go and meet Bade Bhai and getting 3 seats, I'm reminded of that Tamil movie in which Vadivelu tries to enter an airport. There is a protest going on in the street, which is nothing to do with Vadivelu. But he shows that crowd to the security guard and says, so many people behind me, and he gets 2 passes. So JDS has not aligned with BJP because people want it, or the community. It is because the leaders wanted it for their family. And Kolar, by chance, on Bichara SC fellow got it. Otherwise, third family member would have.
Hello, sir. Sir, my question is again about pre-poll alliance between BJP and JDS. So, ma'am was saying that this alliance is very natural and it can work out in a better way. But what I think is that this alliance is working well maybe with the top leaders, but not with the party workers and the dissatisfied, deserving candidates, BJP candidates who lost their chance in this election to secure a ticket. So what do you think, sir, the impact of this pre-poll alliance, can it backfire BJP in this election? What do you think?
I would like Pooja to respond first, then I have one point.
okay. You're asking if the BJP leaders who missed out on the ticket because of the alliance will be. Who are the BJP leaders who missed out? I mean, yeah, exactly. Just 3 of them, right? And will they dare go against the supreme leader? No, they will not, right? What can they do? They'll make some noise. They hardly have any backing in that region. So I don't think it's that much of a problem. And anyway, they've actually lost 4, not 3, because Manjunath is also... Yeah, so Sumalata would have probably, she's anyway in BJP. So I don't think it's going to work that way. As far as the ground workers, see, if it was a assembly election, it would have probably been different. Lok Sabha and assembly, people think very differently.
Yeah, so the related point is this. Some of the disgruntled JDS leaders have been crossing over to the Congress. That has been happening. More than any elections in the past, the desertion from the JDS to the Congress have been happening.
It happened before ticket distribution, right? Even now it's happening.
Yesterday, today, every day, one leader or the other, not top leader, but middle rank or lower leader crossing over. So this has been happening. You are right there, but not as Pooja said, not the people who were aspiring to become MPs or MLAs, the others. Okay. The other thing is, we have to compare this to Congress-JDS alliance in 2019. Okay, so there, it happened at the level of the leaders, but workers resisted it. Okay, here, it has happened at the level of leaders, and workers have not resisted it. Only some leaders, middle rank leaders have been crossing over, but the information or the reports that I am getting from the ground is that workers have accepted it better than how they accepted Congress-JDS alliance in 2019. So comparatively speaking, this has worked better. And there's nothing called a natural alliance between two political parties. Everything is unnatural.
Yeah, someone raised your hand here.
So I have a question, statement question, I don't know, just listening has been very insightful. So I'm a regular middle class educated lady, and this Modi factor, so for me it is a Modi factor. So because for me right now when I look at India, when I see India, I feel proud to be Indian. Not that I didn't feel proud earlier. My father was in the services, so come from a background that's been very, very apolitical. But I feel that India has taken center stage now. Watching Republic Day this year, my heart just soared because seeing the women power over there, women being given so much of prominence, and the fact that, I don't know, I just felt so good, and I just could think it was Modi. So I don't know, is that being superficial? Because I do read the papers, I'm not very political, and I don't really think too much about things. But for me, that's the Modi factor, and a lot of people I know think like that. So is that being superficial?
Ma'am, but if you look at, I know that it's a very, again, global hunger index, global democracy index, so if you're saying India's taking center stage, I don't know in what sense. Yes, we watched the Republic Day parade with a sense of pride. I agree with you. I don't know, did we not before 2014? We did, right? I mean, I don't know how much of it is Mr. Modi, how much of it is it's a natural triangle. But there are
Is it true that in Karnataka the central government decided what are the tackles
that happens year on year. That's yeah.
Anyway, let's.
I would just.
Yeah.
Sure. So this women being visible in public spaces, it has kept increasing. Karnataka was the first state to give that 3% reservation to women in jobs.
I'll just give you, how corporate appraisals happen in every office. Most of you know. Newspaper also appraisals happens, but we better not talk about it. So the joke the day after appraisals is, the man who shouts a lot about his own achievement gets a promotion. The man who silently works does not. So, yeah. And the man. That's what I said, man. I did not say person. So, that is it. One. Secondly, I'll just give you a brief example. 98, he was DGP. 98, there was a United Nations observation that number of women in police forces across the country should reach 10%. Karnataka had 3% or 4% by that time. The famous old jail here, now which has become a jail for satyagrahis, that place, Freedom Park, sadly called Freedom Park. So there I was talking to Revan Siddhaya, I was a crime reporter. I asked him, sir, and they had given a deadline of 5 years. Do you think Karnataka will have 10% women in 5 years? This was in 1998. Okay. He said, Are no, you keep watching, I'll do it. Because he is a very boisterous fellow, always confident.
Tushita, you had a question.
Again, man.
Yeah. We have time for perhaps one last question. We are over.
I wanted to just say one thing, if I can.
Can you can make a statement at the end, perhaps. One last question. I don't know. This lady in front. Sorry if I missed out people, but we're running out of time.
But before that, so this idea that if there is no prime ministerial candidate for a party, it is a problem. The empirical evidence suggests that India grew well and India did well under coalition governments, right? There was no problem at all. So this argument that there should be one leader, one dominant party, etc. I think we need a lot of evidence to say what happened during whose time.
Rishi, we're running out of time. We'll listen to the last question.
There is something called national government in Japan. You can take your time and study. It has had 6 prime ministers in 6 years, and Japan, is better than India.
Yeah, sorry, sir. You are.
Yeah.
Your
Your question.
No.
Question.
No. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this question is for Mr. Narayana. You had mentioned that the BJP attack on the Congress is that it's a anti-Hindu party. And you also said that the Congress basically feels guilty maybe somewhere and believes that they are anti-Hindu.
They don't know. They think
They don't know. Yeah, they doubt themselves.
Yeah, they doubt.
So if you were in the Congress, what would your counter to that be?
question I wanted to ask.
Okay. Thanks for asking this question. It is not for me to answer because I'm not from Congress. I don't hold any brief for the Congress here. But some of the charges that the BJP levels against the Congress is for not the Congress to answer, but for every citizen of this country to answer. Okay? No party shall ever dare to call somebody anti-national. If somebody is anti-national, he or she should be in jail, not doing politics. Okay, that's the failure of the government of the day. If there is an anti-national doing politics in this country, that is the failure of the government of the day and not of the party. Okay, so that's my position. Second, there cannot be somebody who is anti-religious. Nobody can be anti-Hindu or anti-Muslim or whatever. I don't know. I am a Hindu, therefore I am saying, there is nothing called anti-Hindu. That concept doesn't exist. What is anti-Hindu? Tell me, define it for me.
Ma'am, I just want to say, why are we always questioning the opposition, right? We're always saying, why isn't Congress doing enough to counter this narrative, right? How many times do we say, why is BJP lying? And why is the country believing the BJP's lies, right? Congress can shout from rooftops, but it's not reaching the people, and I hold the media responsible for it. I've been a part of it in visual medium, and I know that even if Congress was to counter, it would be blocked. So what more can Congress or any other opposition party do, right?
But tell me, what is anti-national? Define it for me. What is anti-Hindu? Define it for me. There is nothing called, there is no such conceptual category in social sciences or in the real world.
Okay, I think we are out of time. Thank you, Rishi. Thank you, Narayana. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you. So they're here, you can chat with them if you want. Good evening and thank you to everyone for coming.